12-year-old Ethan Mitchell crashes through the dense undergrowth of New Eden's forest as blue plasma bolts slice through the air around him, turning tree trunks into smoldering ruins. The year is 2157, and humanity's peaceful colony world has become a battleground. Above, through gaps in the canopy, 15 Krenim warships hover like predatory birds, their hulls reflecting the orange glow of burning settlements. Another plasma bolt strikes closer, and Ethan stumbles, his lungs burning as he pushes himself toward the colony's emergency bunkers. The distinctive sound of Krenim battle speech echoes through the forest, a harsh, clicking language that sends chills down his spine. Their blue-skilled forms move through the trees with practiced efficiency, their mandate to purify the galaxy driving them forward. Intercepted transmissions had revealed their twisted logic. Humanity's leap from planetary civilization to interstellar society in mere decades was unnatural. The Krenim believe someone else helped them, contaminated them, and now they've come to cleanse this corruption. Ethan's foot catches on a root, sending him sprawling into a small clearing. There, he freezes. A Krenim warrior lies propped against a fallen log, blue scales dulled by pain, plasma rifle discarded at her side. Their eyes meet his brown, her silver, and Ethan sees something unexpected: doubt. This warrior, Selene, clutches a wound in her side, her mandibles clicking softly in what might be fear. His hands twitch forward instinctively to help, to heal, but movement in the forest stops him. A full squadron of Krenim warriors emerges from the tree line, their weapons trained on both Ethan and their wounded compatriot. Their leader steps forward, scales gleaming with ceremonial markings, ready to capture this human child who dared to survive their initial assault. The ground trembles. The sound starts as a low whistle, building to a thunderous roar as orbital drop pods punch through the atmosphere. They strike the earth like meteors, and from their smoking husks rise figures that make even the Krenim warriors step back. The 1st Terran Special Operations Division has arrived. Among them stands Marcus Mitchell, Ethan's father, his cybernetically enhanced frame a testament to the Prometheus Initiative's success. Reverse-engineered alien technology flows through his veins, turning what was once a normal human soldier into something that can challenge the galaxy's deadliest species on equal terms. Marcus's augmented sensors ping, immediately identifying his son's presence in the combat zone. Through his neural interface, he accesses tactical displays showing 15 Krenim warriors surrounding his child. They came expecting to find helpless colonists. Instead, they've found humanity's answer to alien aggression. As father and son lock eyes across the battlefield, the Krenim warriors realize their mistake. They aren't facing simple colonists anymore. They're facing humanity's evolution, its determination to survive among the stars embodied in the chrome-enhanced forms of the Special Operations Division, and in the defiant stance of a 12-year-old boy who would show mercy to an enemy. Marcus's augmented vision highlighted 12 Krenim biosignatures converging on Ethan's position. His combat systems automatically calculated intercept trajectories as the alien warriors moved through the underbrush with predatory grace. The wounded Krenim scout pressed a taloned hand to her communication device. "Stand down," Selene clicked in her native tongue. The human child showed mercy. "We must silence compromised one," came the harsh response. "Your injuries corrupt your judgment. The purification continues." Marcus activated his Prometheus-grade armor's active camouflage. The chrome-enhanced plating shifted to match the forest's patterns, rendering him nearly invisible. He moved like a ghost through the trees, his enhanced muscles allowing him to flow from shadow to shadow with liquid precision. The 1st Krenim warrior fell without a sound, a precision strike severing neural pathways at the base of his skull. The 2nd and 3rd dropped simultaneously as Marcus's combat systems coordinated perfect takedown trajectories. The remaining warriors scattered, their rigid formation breaking apart as they faced an enemy they couldn't see. Ethan half-carried, half-dragged Selene toward a concrete drainage culvert partially hidden by fallen leaves. "In here," he whispered, helping her duck into the confined space. Blue blood stained his hands as he pressed against her wound. "Try to stay still." Captain Harrison watched the boy's actions through his tactical feed. "Mitchell," he sub-vocalized through their secure channel, "your son just handed us a strategic gold mine. Keep that scout alive." A massive shadow fell across the forest as a Purifear-class cruiser moved into low orbit, its weapon systems charging. The colony's defense platforms opened fire, their energy weapons splashing harmlessly against the warship's shields. Marcus dispatched another Krenim warrior with mechanical efficiency when his sensors detected a new threat. A heavily augmented figure stepped through the tree line, its armor bearing the distinctive markings of a war commander. More disturbing were the cybernetic enhancements glowing beneath the alien scales, enhancements that perfectly matched the signature of Prometheus technology. "War Commander Krell," Selene whispered, her silver eyes widening. "He leads the purification of species deemed unnatural, but those implants—" She shuddered. "How does he possess your technology?" The ground shook as the Purifear-class cruiser's weapons struck the colony's shields. Through gaps in the canopy, Marcus watched as a sleek shape emerged from behind New Eden's moon, the THS Prometheus, humanity's stealth warship, moving to engage the Krenim fleet. Krell's augmented voice boomed through the forest. "The human child and the traitor. Surrender them, and perhaps your deaths will be quick." Captain Harrison's voice crackled through Marcus's comm. "Mitchell, we're losing ground at the perimeter. These enhanced Krenim troops there using our own tech against us. The bunkers won't hold much longer." Marcus processed multiple tactical scenarios through his neural interface. His programming demanded he reinforce the perimeter. His humanity screamed to protect his son. And now, watching Krell stalk through the forest with movements that mirrored his own cybernetic enhancements, he faced a third imperative: discover how humanity's most closely guarded military secrets had fallen into enemy hands. Above, the THS Prometheus engaged the Krenim fleet, its stealth systems allowing it to strike from seemingly impossible angles. But the Purifear-class cruisers kept coming, their weapons turning New Eden's paradise into fields of glass and ash. Through his tactical display, Marcus watched as more Krenim-heavy assault teams breached the colony's defensive lines. Even the superhuman reactions of the special operations soldiers couldn't hold back the tide forever. He had seconds to decide. Follow orders and defend the perimeter, or protect Ethan and the wounded scout who might hold the key to understanding this devastating breach in security. Krell's cybernetic eyes scanned the forest, tracking heat signatures and electromagnetic disturbances. "I know you're there, soldier," he clicked. "Your enhancements sing to mine. We are not so different, you and I. Both products of technology that was never meant for our kind." Marcus's combat systems analyzed Krell's statement for a fraction of a second before reaching a decision. The mission parameters shifted, protecting Ethan, and the wounded Krenim scout now took priority over perimeter defense. "Harrison," Marcus sub-vocalized through the tactical net, falling back to secondary position. "Have critical intelligence asset." He scooped Ethan into one arm while lifting Selene with the other, his augmented muscles compensating for their combined weight. "Acknowledged," Harrison responded as plasma fire lit up the defensive line. "We'll cover your withdrawal." Marcus's stealth systems engaged automatically as he moved through the forest. His enhanced hearing picked up Krell's footsteps behind them, moving with the same artificial precision that marked all Prometheus-enhanced soldiers. "The research facility," Selene clicked weakly, her silver eyes fixed on Marcus's visor. "That's where they want to go. Krell knows." A priority message flashed across Marcus's HUD, Dr. Victor Kane's encryption signature. The text scrolled past his cybernetic vision. "Bring the Krenim to Vault Access Point Delta. both species required for activation sequence. Overhead, the THS Prometheus executed a maneuver that defied conventional physics. The stealth ship's signature vanished completely from sensors as it slipped between three Purifier-class cruisers. Relativistic tungsten rods lanced out from seemingly empty space, punching through the Krenim vessel's hull plating like paper. Secondary explosions cascaded along their flanks as atmosphere vented into space. "Hold tight," Marcus instructed as he accessed the colony's maintenance tunnel network through his neural interface. A service hatch opened silently beneath a cluster of ferns, revealing a dimly lit passage downward. Krell's enhanced voice carried through the trees. "The vault calls to us both, soldier. Our implants share the same song precursor harmonics that your scientists barely understand." Marcus dropped into the tunnel, his boots touching down on metal grating. The hatch sealed automatically above them as his night vision activated, revealing maintenance corridors stretching in multiple directions. "Dad," Ethan whispered, "her wound, it's not real." He gestured to Selene, who nodded slowly. "Bioengineering cast," she confirmed. "I discovered transmissions between Krenim separatists and human forces. They traded our bioweapons for your Prometheus technology. This attack, it's not what it seems." Marcus's sensors pinged as Harrison's forces engaged the enemy above. Through the tunnel network structure, he detected the distinctive vibration pattern of Prometheus-enhanced troops moving in formation, but they weren't human. Krell's personal guard had entered the maintenance system. Another message from Kane illuminated Marcus's HUD. "Vault contains critical precursor artifacts. Krell's cybernetics show unknown energy signatures. Must reach Vault before he does." They moved through the tunnels as the battle raged overhead. Marcus's tactical systems mapped multiple routes to the research facility while tracking the Krenim strike team's advance. Their movements mirrored special operations protocols, perfectly proof of the technological theft Selene had discovered. A massive impact shook the tunnel network. Through his uplink to the colony's defense grid, Marcus watched as Admiral Way's gambit paid off. The Prometheus had turned the orbital battle into a killing ground, using its advanced stealth systems to devastate the Krenim fleet at point-blank range. The research facility's outer doors opened at Marcus's approach, responding to his cybernetic signature. Inside, emergency lighting cast everything in red shadows. His sensors detected Dr. Kane's presence in the lower levels, along with energy readings that didn't match any known human or Krenim technology. The Vault's security systems require genetic authentication from both species. Kane's voice came through the facility's internal speakers. "But Marcus Krell's implants are generating precursor energy patterns we've never seen before. Whatever he's using, it's beyond our current understanding of the technology." A blast door buckled behind them as Krell's strike team breached the maintenance tunnel. The sound of their movements carried the same mechanical precision that Marcus recognized from his own cybernetically enhanced reflexes. Through his tactical feed, Marcus watched Harrison's forces fall back toward the research facility, using the underground passages to funnel the Krenim attackers into prepared killing zones. But the alien warriors adapted instantly to each new tactic, as if they'd trained specifically to counter Prometheus' operational doctrine. The vault's massive door came into view, its surface covered in geometrical patterns that pulsed with subtle light. Kane waited beside the access panel, his research team's equipment scattered around him. The scientist's eyes widened at the sight of Selene. "Quickly," Kane urged. "We need both of you to the facility's." Lights flickered as Krell's enhanced voice echoed through the corridors. "You can't stop what's coming, soldier. The vault holds truths neither of our species is ready to face." Marcus set Ethan and Selene down beside Kane as his combat systems registered multiple approaching threats. Krell's personal guard had reached the outer chamber, their cybernetic signatures creating a cacophony of familiar and alien energy patterns on his sensors. Through the facility's internal sensors, Marcus tracked multiple objects burning through New Eden's atmosphere. Krenim drop pods, streaking toward their position like artificial meteors. His tactical display highlighted their projected impact points, all clustered around the research facility. A deep hum resonated through the corridors as Kane's fingers flew across control panels. Activating precursor defense grid, the scientist announced. Crystalline structures emerged from concealed ports in the facility's outer walls, their surfaces rippling with impossible geometries. Energy lashed upward from the defense grid, transforming the air into shimmering curtains of light. The Krenim drop pods intersected these barriers and split apart like fruit through a razor. All except one. Marcus's sensors registered a massive power surge as War Commander Krell emerged from the surviving pod. The Krenim commander's cybernetic systems pulsed with violet light as they absorbed the defensive barrier's energy, converting it into raw power. "Impossible," Kane whispered, checking his instruments. "He's not just using our Prometheus tech, he's merged it with something else, something that can directly interface with precursor energy matrices." Through his tactical feed, Marcus watched Harrison's forces engage waves of enhanced Krenim warriors. Each assault displayed new adaptations to human combat protocols. The aliens' movements grew more precise, their responses more calculated, as if their cybernetic systems were evolving in real time. "This way," Kane directed, leading them deeper into the facility. The vault door dominated the chamber ahead, its surface covered in flowing scripts that seemed to move under their own power. The patterns, they're not just decoration. They're proof of what we suspected but could never confirm. Selene traced the alien writing with her taloned fingers. "These are genome maps," she clicked softly. "Both human and Krenim DNA sequences, interwoven with precursor modifications. The precursors engineered both our species," Kane confirmed. "Your distant cousins, shaped by the same ancient hands. That's why both humans and Krenim can successfully integrate their technology." A thunderous impact shook the facility. Through walls designed to withstand orbital bombardment, Marcus heard Krell tearing his way inside. The Krenim commander's enhanced strength, amplified by absorbed precursor energy, ripped through reinforced barriers like paper. Harrison's voice crackled through the tactical net, falling back to secondary positions. "These enhanced Krenim, they're analyzing our tactics faster than we can adapt." Ethan tugged at Marcus's armor, pointing at specific sequences in the vault's flowing script. "Dad, look at these symbols. They're different from the others, like warning signs." Marcus's cybernetic system scanned the patterns Ethan indicated, but found no match in their archaeological databases. The boys saw something in the ancient writing that their advanced systems missed. "Genetic authentication required," Kane announced, preparing the vault's access protocols. "Marcus, Selene, we need samples from both of you." Marcus's tactical systems pinged a priority alert. His enhanced vision penetrated Krell's armor, revealing assassination protocols activating within the commander's cybernetic suite. The coding was buried deep. Triggered by proximity to the vault, someone had programmed Krell to destroy these secrets, perhaps without his own knowledge. Above them, the THS Prometheus executed a series of maneuvers that defied normal space combat doctrine. Admiral Wei's ship danced between Krenim vessels, its stealth systems creating phantom targets that drew enemy fire. The tactic kept Krenim reinforcements at bay, but Marcus's tactical analysis showed it couldn't last forever. The vault's massive door responded to the genetic samples, ancient mechanisms awakening. As its surface began to part, new sensor contacts appeared on Marcus's tactical display, unknown vessels approaching the system, their energy signatures matching neither human nor Krenim designs. Krell burst through the final barrier, his cybernetic eyes blazing with stolen precursor energy. His personal guard engaged the remaining defenders, their enhanced capabilities transforming the facility's corridors into a battlefield of blurred motion and impossible speeds. The vault door continued its opening sequence, revealing darkness beyond. Ethan's eyes remained fixed on the warning symbols, his young mind piecing together patterns that generations of researchers had overlooked. Whatever waited inside that vault, the boy's instincts suggested it was more than just advanced technology. It was something neither humanity nor the Krenim were truly ready to face. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from the opening vault, cascading through Marcus's cybernetic systems. His enhanced vision flickered and distorted as ancient power surged through the chamber. Through failing sensors, he glimpsed Krell's forces similarly staggering, their augmented reflexes temporarily disrupted by the energy wave. The darkness beyond the vault door gave way to activated lighting systems, revealing a cavernous space that dwarfed the research facility. A single vessel dominated the chamber, its silver-white hull adorned with flowing geometric patterns that matched the scripts on the vault door. The ship's design defied conventional engineering curves, and angles that shouldn't exist in normal space merged seamlessly together. Precursor vessel, Kane breathed, his handheld scanner displaying readings in rapidly scrolling columns. Still active after all this time, the stasis field preserved everything. Krell charged into the chamber, his cybernetic eyes pulsing with stolen energy. The Krenim commander halted mid-stride as his gaze fell upon the ship. His remaining guards spread out behind him, their weapons trained on Marcus's position but their attention fixed on the ancient vessel. Kane's scanner chirped. The control interfaces they're keyed to specific genetic markers, markers present in both human and Krenim DNA. A violent tremor shook the facility. Marcus's tactical feed refreshed as his systems recovered, displaying new contacts in orbit. The unknown vessels determinationed into angular platforms covered in the same geometric patterns as the vault. Their weapon systems activated with impossible precision, lancing out at both human and Krenim ships. Admiral Way, Marcus transmitted. Multiple precursor platforms detected. Suggest immediate evasive action. Through his uplink, he watched the Prometheus execute a desperate series of maneuvers. Way's ship barely avoided the platform's initial salvo, its stealth systems struggling against technology designed to counter them. "Dad," Ethan pointed at a section of script near the ship's entry ramp. "These symbols keep repeating, but they're different from the others, like they're trying to warn about something." Before Marcus could respond, Krell convulsed. The commander's armor split apart as his cybernetic systems underwent a horrific transformation. Precursor technology erupted from within his body, consuming organic tissue and reforming it into something that violated natural law. His guards backed away, clicking in their native language as their leader became an abomination. "Harrison, get down!" Marcus shouted as the captain and his reinforcements entered the chamber. Plasma fire from the human troops splashed harmlessly against Krell's altered form. The transformed commander lashed out with appendages of metal and flesh, forcing both species to take cover behind ancient support columns. The remaining Krenim warriors moved to Marcus's position, their weapons trained on their former commander. "This desecration cannot stand," the lead guard clicked. "We will assist you." Kane and Selene worked at a control panel near the ship's ramp, their fingers flying across interfaces that responded to their touch. "The quantum database," Kane called out. "It contains their entire military archive. That's what everyone's been searching for." The transformed Krell moved toward the ship with unnatural speed. Marcus targeted the creature's legs with concentrated fire, coordinating with the Krenim guards to slow its advance. Harrison's forces split into teams, maintaining suppressing fire from multiple angles. "Ethan's right about the warning symbols," Selene announced, her silver eyes scanning rapidly across streams of data. This ship isn't just a vessel, it's part of a defense network. The precursors built it to protect both our species from something they knew was coming. Marcus's tactical feed updated with new alerts from orbit. The defense platforms charged weapons that exceeded any known energy scale. Admiral Wei reports the platforms are targeting the planet's surface. Estimated firing time 3 minutes. The transformed Krell breached their defensive line, heading straight for the ship's control center. Its new form interfaced directly with precursor systems, bypassing security measures that had stood for millennia. Marcus coordinated with the Krenim guards, establishing crossfire zones to protect Kane and Selene as they worked. "Ethan," Kane called out, "come here, what do you see in these symbols? There's a pattern we're missing." The boy moved cautiously toward the control panel, his eyes fixed on the flowing script. Marcus maintained covering fire as his son studied the ancient language, praying the child's unique insight would unlock the ship's secrets before Krell's transformed shape could claim them for whoever had engineered his hidden protocols. In orbit, the defense platforms aligned for planetary bombardment, their charging weapons casting New Eden's night sky in sheets of impossible light. Time was running out for both species as Krell's monstrous form advanced through their combined fire, reaching for controls that could reshape the balance of power throughout known space. Marcus's tactical display flickered as Krell's transformed shape burst through the final defensive position. The commander's new form defied natural law, a writhing mass of metal and flesh that pulsed with stolen precursor energy. Tendrils of living metal whipped through the air, forcing both human and Krenim forces to scatter. Fall back to secondary positions. Harrison ordered as plasma fire splashed harmlessly against Krell's hybrid armor. Squad Commander Vex clicked rapid commands to his remaining warriors. The Krenim troops synchronized their movements with Harrison's soldiers, establishing overlapping fields of fire. Their combined tactics created a temporary barrier between Krell and the ancient vessel. Marcus's Prometheus enhancement screamed warnings as he pushed them beyond safe limits. His cybernetic vision overlay began to destabilize, but he held position between the monstrosity and his son. "Kane, talk to me. What are we dealing with?" "The ship's database is active." Kane's fingers danced across alien controls. "Selene, look at these genetic markers. They match the modifications in our cybernetic programs." "The Prometheus project," Selene confirmed, her silver eyes reflecting streams of data. "We weren't creating new technology. We were recreating something buried in our own DNA." Ethan tugged at Marcus's armor again. "Dad, this symbol here, it's the same as your implant pattern." Through failing sensors, Marcus saw the resemblance. The flowing script matched the geometric designs etched into every Prometheus enhancement. Before he could process the implications, Krell launched another assault. The transformed commander moved with impossible speed, shrugging off coordinated fire from both species. Vex's warriors adapted instantly, adjusting their aim to support Harrison's troops as they executed a rolling retreat. The merged combat styles displayed an uncanny effectiveness. "Admiral Wei to ground forces," the transmission cut through tactical noise. "We've accessed the platform controls. They're responding to genetic signatures." "Lieutenant Rodriguez has temporarily suspended the firing sequence, but we have less than 1 hour before the systems reactivate." The vault's internal lighting shifted, creating illuminated pathways across the chamber floor. Ethan studied the patterns with intense focus. "The lights are showing us where to go." "The boy's right," Kane called out. "The security systems are reacting to his presence. Children can interface with this technology naturally, no cybernetic augmentation required." A massive tendril slammed through their defensive line, sending both human and Krenim warriors flying. Krell's distorted form surged forward, metal organic components reconfiguring to create weapons that shouldn't exist. His attacks focused on Ethan with terrifying precision. Marcus's enhanced strength wavered as his systems began to fail. The strain of maximum output had damaged crucial connections. He blocked a strike meant for his son, feeling the impact through rapidly deteriorating servo motors. "Marcus," Kane shouted over weapons fire. "We need to get Ethan to the control center." The ship, it's called the Genesis Ark. It can unlock genetic potential in both our species, but only if we activate it correctly. "Squad Commander Vex," Harrison's voice carried across the chamber. "Can your warriors hold this position?" Vex clicked an affirmative, directing precise fire at Krell's vulnerable joints. The combined forces adapted their strategy, creating a fighting retreat that drew the transformed commander's attention away from the illuminated path. The Genesis Arc systems hummed with increasing power, responding to Ethan's proximity. Energy pulses rippled through the chamber, interfering with all cybernetic systems. Marcus felt his enhancements fluctuate, but noticed Krell's hybrid form also struggling against the disruption. The path to the control center cut through open ground, directly exposed to Krell's attacks. Marcus analyzed tactical options with his failing systems. The combined forces couldn't hold forever, but they fought with seamless coordination as if their species had evolved to work together. "Time to move." Marcus triggered his remaining combat protocols. The surge of power felt different now, more natural, as if the ship's energy was awakening something encoded in his cells rather than simply powering his implants. Ethan stepped onto the illuminated path. Ancient security measures activated, creating brief protective barriers that flickered with each pulse from the ship. The boy's understanding of the precursor script had unlocked more than just knowledge. It had awakened the vessel's dormant systems. Behind them, Krell's roar echoed through the vault as the transformed commander recognized their strategy. His attacks intensified, but the coordinated defense held. Human adaptability merged with Krenim precision, each species compensating for the other's weaknesses. The Genesis Ark's control center waited ahead, its surfaces covered in the same flowing script that had first caught Ethan's attention. Marcus moved forward with his son, feeling his Prometheus enhancements fade with each step. The future of both species now depended on reaching those controls before either Krell broke through or the orbital platforms reactivated. Marcus made his choice in a fraction of a second. "Harrison, Vex, converge your forces at junction points. Buy us time." Marcus lifted Ethan into his arms as his servomotors whined in protest. The illuminated pathway stretched before them, each step triggering new security measures that sparkled into existence. Kane and Selene fell in behind them as plasma fire intensified. Through failing tactical feeds, Marcus watched the human and Krenim forces execute a masterful fighting withdrawal. Harrison's troops laid down suppressing fire, while Vex's warriors took precise shots at the transformed commander's joints. "The biomechanical integration is accelerating," Selene called out, her silver eyes tracking energy patterns across Krell's mutated form. "The precursor tech is consuming his organic tissue faster than it can adapt. He's burning out." Marcus's enhanced vision flickered as they crossed the exposed corridor. Each step sent warning signals through his degrading systems. Behind them, Krell's roar took on a mechanical edge as more of his flesh gave way to living metal. The Genesis Ark's hull shed centuries of accumulated matter, revealing intricate geometric patterns. Ethan traced the flowing lines with his fingers as they approached. "Dad, look, these are like the cave paintings from Earth, and that's the same as the Krenim temple markings." Kane's scanner whirred. Biological markers confirmed in both species. "The ship's database is cataloging the genetic similarities. This evidence can't be erased." They reached the entry ramp as Krell breached the defensive line. The transformed commander's movements became erratic, organic portions fighting against mechanical impulses. Patches of his hybrid form had begun to disintegrate, leaving gaps that sparked with unstable energy. Inside the Genesis Arc, control interfaces activated at multiple heights. Adult-sized panels illuminated alongside smaller stations clearly designed for children. Ethan moved naturally to one of the smaller interfaces, his hands finding familiar patterns in the alien script. The activation sequence. Kane worked at an adjacent station. Ethan, guide me through these symbols. The ship's responding to your interpretations. A medical bay powered up along the port wall. Marcus's failing enhancements registered the compatible technology systems designed to work with human biology rather than override it. The Prometheus signatures in his implants resonated with older patterns embedded in the ship's machinery. Incoming transmission from Admiral Way, Selene announced. The Krenim fleet has acknowledged their leadership's deception. They're forming a defensive screen with our ships. The deck plating vibrated as Krell smashed through the outer hull. His hybrid form filled the entry corridor, weapons jam-packed from transformed flesh. The targeting systems locked onto Ethan with singular focus, even as Krell's remaining organic components twitched in apparent resistance. Harrison and Vex led their surviving forces aboard, establishing interlocking fields of fire. Human adaptability merged seamlessly with Krenim precision, their combined tactics more effective than either species fighting alone. They held their positions as Ethan worked the controls, buying precious seconds. Marcus stumbled as his enhancements failed completely. The medical bay pulsed with invitation, offering restoration, but he maintained his position between Krell and his son. Through unaugmented eyes, he watched the conflict in Krell's transformed shape mechanical drives warring with organic will. Security protocols accessing. Ethan's fingers danced across alien interfaces. The ship remembers us, both of us. Energy cascaded through the Genesis Arc systems. Ethan's connection triggered activation sequences throughout the vessel, sending waves of recognition washing over every piece of technology in range. Marcus felt it pass through his dead enhancements, carrying echoes of abilities that should have been humanity's birthright. The signal reached Krell. The commander's hybrid form convulsed as centuries-old protocols awakened within the stolen technology. His weapons powered down despite obvious attempts to override. Through gaps in the living metal, Krell's organic eye revealed recognition and relief. Above New Eden, the defense platforms responded to the Genesis Arc's broadcast. Their charging weapons cycled into standby as new directives took hold. The ship's database began decoding, revealing information that both species had forgotten they shared. Kane studied the flowing data with intense focus. These records, they're not just technical specifications. They're a warning. Something made the precursors create our species to work together. Something they knew was coming. The Genesis Arc systems continued to power up, each activation unveiling new connections between humanity and the Krenim. Marcus watched his son work the alien controls with natural skill, proving with every gesture why the precursors had designed their technology for multiple generations to use together. Through the ship's viewports, New Eden's sun began to set. The defense platforms cast long shadows across the planet's surface as their weapons remained silent, waiting for instructions from the vessel their creators had left behind. In the fading light, the transformed shape of War Commander Krell stood frozen between attack and revelation, as the Genesis Arc prepared to share secrets that would change both species forever. The Genesis Arc's signal pulsed outward, washing through the chamber in waves of shifting energy. Krell's hybrid form seized as the broadcast penetrated his transformed tissues. Patches of living metal began to separate from his organic components, sliding away like mercury drawn to a magnet. The technology, it's rejecting the weaponization protocols, Kane called out, his fingers flying across the alien interface. The ship is resetting everything to baseline precursor specifications. Marcus watched as similar effects rippled through his own failing enhancements. The dead servomotors in his limbs tingled with new sensation as the ship's signal reached deeper, past the artificial components, and into his cellular structure. Ethan's hands moved across the control panels with increasing confidence. "Dad, something's wrong. There's another signal trying to." The boy's warning cut short as Krell's form convulsed violently. Red warning indicators flashed across the Genesis Ark's displays. Containment fields materialized around the transformed commander, creating a cage of intersecting energy barriers. "External override attempt detected," Selene announced, her silver eyes tracking data streams. "Something's trying to access the ship through Commander Krell's implants." The containment field intensified, extracting streams of corrupted code from Krell's systems. The process revealed streams of data that Kane immediately began analyzing. Coordinates, deep space installation. This is where they modified the Prometheus tech. Admiral Wei's voice crackled through the command frequency, multiple contacts dropping out of FTL. Unknown configuration, but their energy signatures match Krell's cybernetic systems. Through the vault's massive viewports, Marcus saw the new arrivals' sleek predatory shapes that bore no resemblance to human or Krenim design. The Genesis Ark's database designated them with a single word: harvesters. Energy surged through Marcus's body as the ship's broadcast reached his genetic structure. His dead enhancements fell away, replaced by strength flowing from his own cells. Beside him, the Krenim warriors straightened as their own bodies responded to the signal, their natural capabilities expanding beyond their engineered limits. Krell's partially transformed body made one final attempt to reach Ethan. Marcus intercepted the attack with newfound speed, deflecting a blade of living metal with his bare hands. The contact lasted less than a second, but he felt the corrupted programming trying to spread through the point of contact. "The shield grid is online," Kane reported. "Matching patterns found in ruins on both Earth and Krenim colonies, the precursors they've been protecting us all along." Impact warnings blared as the harvester ships launched pods toward the vault. Admiral Wei coordinated the combined fleet's response, but several pods breached the outer defenses. The sounds of combat echoed from the lower levels as robotic boarders engaged the security forces. Marcus analyzed the tactical situation. The control center remained vulnerable despite the containment field holding Krell. Harrison and Vex's forces had already begun moving to intercept the boarders, but the robots' corrupted precursor tech made them formidable opponents. "I can access their base code." Ethan's voice carried absolute certainty as his fingers danced across the alien controls. "The ship has templates for removing the corruption, but we'd have to expose the core systems," Kane finished. "Risk infection to attempt a cure." Marcus felt his son's questioning gaze. The tactical decision carried weight beyond mere strategy, trust in Ethan's growing mastery against a father's instinct to protect. Below, the sounds of combat grew closer as Harrison and Vex engaged the first wave of robotic boarders. The Genesis Ark's internal defenses activated, but the Harvester robots displayed adaptive capabilities. They learned from each engagement, their corrupted programming evolving to counter both human and Krenim tactics. Even with their enhanced capabilities, the defending forces struggled to contain the advance. Marcus moved to the control center's entrance, feeling his newly awakened abilities respond with fluid precision. Behind him, Ethan continued working the alien systems with increasingly confident movements. The boy's connection to the precursor technology had grown stronger, more intuitive with each passing moment. The first corrupted robot appeared in the corridor, its form a twisted reflection of precursor design philosophies. Marcus sized up his opponent as Kane and Selene established defensive positions around Ethan. The choice crystallized: protect his son directly, or trust in both their enhanced capabilities while leading the counterboarding action. Through the vault's viewports, more Harvester ships emerged from FTL transit. The Genesis Ark's shields flared as they absorbed the first salvos, casting prismatic patterns across the chamber's ancient walls. Marcus's enhanced vision tracked the Harvester robot's movements through the corridor. His body thrummed with new energy, each cell awakened to its full potential. The decision crystallized in an instant. "Harrison, Vex, secure the lower approaches," he called out, already moving to intercept the mechanical intruder. "Ethan, I trust you. Do what needs to be done." The robot lunged with inhuman speed, its corrupted precursor tech forming razor-edged appendages. Marcus slipped past the attack with fluid grace, his naturally enhanced reflexes surpassing his old cybernetic systems. His counterstrike shattered the machine's outer plating, exposing vulnerable components beneath. "Multiple contacts, B-Deck," Harrison reported through the command channel. Vex's team is engaging from superior positions. These things follow preset attack vectors predictable once you spot the patterns. In the control center, Ethan's fingers flew across alien interfaces as Kane and Selene worked to stabilize Krell. The commander's hybrid form continued shedding layers of corrupted technology, each extracted segment revealing new data about the Harvester's operations. "Coordinates confirmed," Kane announced, analyzing streams of code. "Deep space installation in the galactic core. The facility's processing stolen tech from dozens of species, converting beneficial systems into weapons." Marcus drove back another wave of robots, his enhanced strength crushing mechanical limbs. The combined human-Krenim defense force moved with unprecedented coordination. Human soldiers improvised unconventional tactics while Krenim warriors executed precision strikes, their natural abilities complementing each other perfectly. Admiral Wei's voice cut through the tactical chatter. Orbital defense platforms providing targeting solutions. Harvester vessels taking heavy losses. The Krenim fleet has formed a blockade around New Eden. Ethan's connection to the Genesis Ark deepened. Ancient displays illuminated with new information planetary defense networks, protective systems that could shield both species from future attacks. The ship's database highlighted the crucial connection. These defenses required humans and Krenim working in concert. "The ship contains protection templates," Ethan called out. "But the Harvesters, they've been keeping our species divided, preventing us from accessing this technology together." Marcus led a counterattack through the main access corridor, coordinating with Harrison and Vex to trap groups of robots in devastating crossfire. The machines attempted to adapt, but their artificial intelligence couldn't match the unpredictable variations of naturally enhanced biological reflexes. Kane's analysis terminals flashed with urgent data. The source code, it's an AI. Created during the precursor collapse, it deemed biological species too unpredictable for advanced technology. The Harvester robots pressed toward the ship's core, deploying corrupted tech that probed for weaknesses in the Genesis Ark systems. Marcus felt the enhanced strength flowing through his muscles as he held the line, each movement more efficient than any cybernetic augmentation could achieve. "Template processing complete," Ethan announced. "I can broadcast the defense network activation codes to every human and Krenim world." Warning indicators flared across the control interfaces. The Harvester AI launched a massive cyber attack, forcing entry through multiple systems. Ethan's hands hesitated over the controls as corruption warnings spread across the displays. "The templates, I can send them now, but they might be vulnerable to corruption. Or I can protect them first, but that takes time we might not have." Marcus fought his way back toward the control center, leaving Harrison and Vex's forces to guard the critical approaches. Through the ship's viewports, he watched the combined fleet holding their blockade formation as more Harvester vessels emerged from FTL. The Genesis Ark systems flickered under the AI's assault. Ethan accessed deeper functions, his natural connection to the precursor technology growing stronger even as artificial attacks threatened to overwhelm the ship's defenses. Multiple paths lay before them, each with the potential to reshape the future of both species. Both, Ethan announced, his fingers moving with newfound certainty. I can partition the ship's database, create secure sections for the templates, while starting a controlled broadcast to the nearest colonies. Marcus watched his son's hands dance across the alien interface, manipulating energy fields and data streams with an intuition that surpassed mere technical knowledge. The boy had created nested quarantine zones within the Genesis Arc systems, a flexible defense that adapted to the AI's rigid assault patterns. The ship's internal sensors tracked a massive wave of harvester robots converging on their position. Marcus reached the control center just as the mechanical borders breached the inner security perimeter. Through their enhanced neural links, Harrison and Vex coordinated their forces' movements. "Funnel them toward Junction 7, Marcus transmitted. "We'll catch them in overlapping fields of fire." The combined human Krenim defenders executed the strategy with fluid precision. Natural enhance abilities allowed them to shift positions faster than the AI could predict, creating constantly evolving kill zones. Robotic components littered the corridors as the defenders systematically dismantled each wave of attackers. In the control center, Kane and Selene worked to stabilize Commander Krell. The last fragments of corrupted technology separated from his organic form, revealing the warrior's natural features. Krell's eyes cleared as awareness returned. "The fleet formations," Krell spoke, his voice rough but steady. "I know their command protocols." Admiral Wei's voice crackled through the command channel, receiving tactical data, Prometheus moving into position. The massive warship's energy weapons carved precise paths through the Harvester blockade. Each strike targeted weak points in the enemy formation, creating a widening gap in their coverage. Through the viewports, Marcus watched the combined fleet press their advantage. "Broadcast window confirmed," Ethan called out, initiating full template deployment. The Genesis Arc's transmission rippled outward in expanding waves. Beneath the surfaces of countless worlds, ancient machinery stirred to life. Defensive platforms rose from hidden bunkers, their systems connecting into a vast network that spread across both human and Krenim space. Warning indicators flashed as the remaining Harvester ships launched a desperate attack run. The AI had committed its entire force to a final strike against the Genesis Arc's transmission array. Marcus sprinted toward the critical system, gathering defenders as he moved. "Hold this position," he ordered, taking up a defensive stance beside a human marine and Krenim warrior. "The array needs 3 more minutes." The robots came in waves, their forms twisted by corrupted technology. Enhanced reflexes allowed the defenders to anticipate and counter each attack pattern. Human adaptability combined with Krenim precision as they fought together, their natural abilities complementing each other perfectly. Through the command channel, Admiral Wei coordinated with the Krenim fleet. The THS Prometheus executed a series of devastating strikes, detonating failing Harvester ships before they could threaten New Eden's surface. Explosions lit up the orbital space as the enemy fleet disintegrated. The Genesis Arc systems pulsed with renewed energy as the broadcast reached completion. Marcus felt the changes stabilizing in his cells, a permanent awakening of capabilities that would pass to future generations. Beside him, his fellow defenders straightened as their own enhancements settled into permanent forms. In the control center, Ethan accessed the ship's final data banks. Ancient records filled the displays, revealing the shared heritage of both species. The precursors had designed humans and Krenim to advance together, their natural abilities meant to complement and strengthen each other. Captain Harrison and Squad Commander Vex stepped forward, their enhanced senses allowing them to instantly grasp the significance of the data. The Genesis arc had provided irrefutable proof of their species-connected destiny. 3 months passed. Marcus stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Genesis Arc facility, watching construction crews complete the final sections of the joint human-Krenim colony. Below, Ethan worked with Dr. Kane and Selene, studying the restored defense network while maintaining his regular school schedule. The first joint exploration fleet assembled in high orbit. The restored War Commander Krell and Admiral Wei would lead the mission together, seeking out additional precursor sites. Their ships carried crews from both species, enhanced abilities allowing them to work in perfect coordination. Marcus observed the fleet's final preparations, noting how naturally the two species now operated together. The future stretched before them, full of possibilities neither humans nor Krenim could have achieved alone. Beside him, Ethan monitored the defense network's status displays, his connection to the precursor systems growing stronger each day.